Hey, so I wanted to talk a little bit about working with energy and share some examples that have been going on with me and in my life over the past few weeks. And I would say I've been in it's been a really interesting period of time. I've been feeling a lot of like scratchy energy, um, like confrontational energy, frustration energy. There have been themes that have been coming up as well. Like for me, something that I've realized within me, whether it's like in my DNA, ancestral, wherever it's from, kind of long held, I believe, probably going down family lines, or maybe for the collective as well. But for me, like oppression is something that really gets me going. It's something that kind of like instantly can be like a trigger for me. It's something that really bothers me. And also along with that, it's like people who are in like this, authority figure, position, and that they try to like, exert their power or over others or make other people feel small. To me, that really rubs me the wrong way. Just is never going to fly with me. Something that it's an integral part of me that's like, no, that I just feel like that's wrong. Can't even deal with that. It's wrong. So this period of time has really been teaching me just a lot, how to work with energy, just even more so like bringing out the tools and just really, finding what my own self says is the right kind of feel for the moment, the right thing to do in the moment, the right way to work with energy in the moment. There's not always like this one practice, that you learn in a book that you can go to. It doesn't work like that. It's like based on your real life experiences, it's like trial and error. So how you find out like what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So I'd say maybe like between 2 to 3 weeks ago, I had this like tiff with a supervisor at my work, and they were trying to say, oh, this is just the way things are, which wasn't a way that things, in my opinion, should be. It certainly wasn't fair what was being spoken of this issue, which I'm not going to go into detail, but it was just like I had to like say something, and then so I did, and then the situation more or less was resolved. But I don't know, that feeling kind of just like stuck with me over time, over this last couple weeks, and I've just kind of felt like this kind of like anxious feeling and just really like kind of like fired up feeling. And then I've had different interactions kind of throughout these past weeks that have like played into like that theme. And then today I was needing to contact like the optometrist that I go to, because I'm in this trial period with these like contact lenses I wear, and I was trying to get like this pair that really like fit for me, worked for me, something that like was gonna work for my eyes. And anyways, long story short, they basically told me like, oh, I didn't need what I thought I needed. They're like, oh no, you don't need that. And then I was like, well, I can't see with what is going on, but yet you're telling me that I don't need this. And it's like, I know what's right for me, and I certainly know what's not right for me, and what I was what was trying to be disseminated to me or like dictated to me about my own health, my own body, I 110% knew wasn't right. And so, we had that like confrontation, and then like that kind of got me fueled up. But then, so a couple hours passed, and then I went into their office for an appointment so I can get what I needed or get my eyes looked at. And, as I was sitting there, I'm like, I really got to make a choice about how I want to approach this situation and how I want to approach this. Like, yeah, I'm feeling like fired up, and like you have all these thoughts, running through your head, like, things like, it seems so funny after the fact, but it's like, yeah, I could write a letter about how I think like they weren't professional, and I can just have this like aggressive energy. I could do anything I want. The choice is mine. I have all these options available to me, but at the heart of it, what it really comes down to is always like leading with love. You can never go wrong leading with love. And so I just made the choice. I'm like, I'm just going to show up in integrity. I'm just going to show up and, have a positive attitude. At the same time, I'm not going to let anybody tell me anything that isn't truthful for me, that doesn't resonate with me, that feels wrong to me. And then I was also thinking, well, maybe I'll just go up to that to that doctor and let them know, like, hey, I didn't really like the way you spoke to me on the phone earlier, and even though that conversation might lead to like a little scratchiness, at the same time I know that it's gonna like just transmute and solve like the tension, because addressing things is what calms the fire, relaxes the body. It's like a lot of times that's like the very thing that we're afraid of, though, is like that pivotal moment where you have to like confront that person head on and like address the situation with them, like have that conversation. And a lot of times like the stress and anxiety we experience is because we haven't resolved it, because maybe we're afraid to have that conversation, or we're afraid of the unknown. Like we're not sure how that conversation is going to turn out between us and that like other person. And so that can cause more stress. But ultimately what ended up happening is I got my eyes checked, got looked at by like an assistant, and then the doctor who previously said he wasn't going to come in and meet with me, he came into the room and he just sat down and asked how I was doing. And I had already made up my mind in advance that like whatever I said was going to be in integrity. So like I'm not going to be like, oh hey, like how's it going, because like that wouldn't feel true to me. But it was going to be, come from a loving place. And this part of what I'm saying is particularly important because I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about my internal processes, because I know it's going to be different for everyone, but how I work. So then I had already made up my mind that like whatever conversation that like I have with whoever I interact with there at their office, it was just going to really be from a place of like love, but also from alignment for me. So meaning I wasn't going to act a certain way or say anything that wasn't in alignment with like me and my truth and my integrity. So during my conversation with him, it was pretty short, but I was just like very internally mindful, like everything he said, like I reacted in a way that was appropriate for me. Like I wasn't going overboard, being like, I don't know what word to use, like aggressive or hostile or just not kind. I wasn't doing anything like that, and I wasn't being like, oh, okay, like pretending like nothing ever happened, like, oh yeah, that sounds good. Like I was very much just communicating like, this is how I feel, this is my experience. And yeah, and then it ended up being like a positive conversation, and it just felt really good after we had that. So I was very thankful that he even came in to speak with me, because I think that if he hadn't, I probably wouldn't have felt like the relief that I did, just because like we needed to have another conversation after the one that we had earlier today. And again, it was just like confronting it diffused it. And also like one thing I've been doing a lot lately is just speaking to the universe. And I'll say things like I'll just make up a mantra like lead me, show me, and I'll just like repeat the phrase. And basically in this scenario I said something like that, just I want to be led in the right direction, show me how to like move through these experiences with ease, things like that. And yeah, so hopefully for anybody watching this video, it's like if there's something in your life that, feels like you need to address it, just know, like, a lot of times after we do so, we'll feel better. A lot of it has to do with changing our energy though. So another thing that this is a little more advanced energy like techniques, but what can also work too is if maybe you're not in a situation or scenario where you know that you are able to actually physically talk to that person for a variety of reasons, or that maybe as much as you want to resolve it, it wouldn't be in the best interest to like interact with that person. You can work with your energy and basically create a new energy stance. And I've done this before. So like an example would be, maybe the scenario was different. And I say, I had that same conversation I had earlier today with that person. And for whatever reason, they're going to be out of like town for like the next month or like on a extended vacation or whatever. So then I wouldn't be able to like, physically like interact with them again. Well, I think like in that scenario, if we're talking about like advanced energy techniques, another thing that you can do is kind of plan. It's kind of like planning your energy. You're like morphing your energy into this like more solid field. So instead of being like, oh my God, I don't know how that's going to go next time I interact with them, you can basically set your energy stage and be like, I already know how this is going to go. Like, I am going to stand in my integrity. If I talk to them again, I already know how our conversation is going to go because I am going to be 100% in integrity. I'm not going to just agree with something that they say when I don't think it's right. I'm also not going to be hostile towards them because I'm always going to come from a place of love and lead with love. I'll be firm when I need to be firm. And you're really just like setting this like energetic like field for yourself. Like, this is me now. Like, it's kind of like squaring your shoulders. Like, this is me now. This is how I'm approaching the situation, period. And that alone, I found, can have profound effects on like future things that happen. It's like you've already like set your energy and like what you're going to take and what you're not going to take. And basically like that in itself, I feel like changes like timelines. It changes how things come together and how they work for you and how they will play out and show up if that time comes. I've also had experiences where that time never had to come because my energy had just changed so much by doing that. It's like I didn't even need to interact with that person anymore. It's like the situation just, it resolved, like the feelings around it resolved, the energy around it resolved. So a lot of times it just boils back down to like owning our energy, standing in our space, standing in our truth, standing in our integrity and our authority. It's not trying to act a certain way, whether it's, acting tough or acting, like, oh, okay, yeah, let me just agree with that. It's like, you're not acting at all. You're just like, you're so in your integrity, and every like word that's going to come out of your mouth is just in alignment with you. It's how you feel. It's your vibration. It's the person you are, the individual you are, the way you think and act. And it's just being very much in alignment. I think that can go a long way in clearing like discordant energies and situations. And I could probably go on about energy, but I think that's going to be all for now. And thanks for watching.